Good. Great. So how do you feel about this now? Sorry, I can't put my video on today. Serious problems with my computer. Yes, this also happens. Mine is plugged in this time, so I won't leave you in the middle of it like last time, which I did because, I mean, actually, I'm not even sure. Yes, it is. Okay. So, I don't know, because Geshe was present like a little bit before the 8 o'clock, and he started with teachings, and I wanted to mention that because maybe you noticed it. Like at the end of his, like very quick, very in Tibetan, kind of what he did. Then he did refuge. This you might have recognized. Yeah. Have you? I need some affirmation, or yeah, Shachar, yes, well, Shachar, he speaks Tibetan, so then of course me, I recognize it also because I know the Sanghya and Sokhya. What he did before, I didn't recognize it because I don't speak Tibetan, but I heard Jingi Lap Tu Sol, which means like, please give me your blessings. Shachar, if I'm saying something wrong, yeah, in Tibetan, then please you correct me. So he was asking blessings from the lineage lamas, and then afterwards, I haven't had time to read it yet, but I printed it out. Afterwards, Varda, very kindly, she sent a PDF, which could be what he was, which could be what he recited. It's very possible that he did so. I don't know if anybody, you probably haven't had time to look at it yet either. But if you find these teachings are, how to say, practicable, if you find that you really want to do this, you really want to practice this, I think it's really, really good to recite these prayers to the lineage lamas before you start, and really, really, really ask for blessings. Because we have become, look, when I say we, I mean me, okay? So if you are not like this, then that's fine, and I'm very happy. But I can see that, you know, me also, even as a Buddhist nun, I have become so bloody arrogant that I think, you know, I just need a few instructions, then I can put it into practice, and I can do this alone. This whole thing with blessings, it took me such a long time to understand that without these blessings, nothing will transform. I will know the things intellectually. I will, you know, I will find it very meaningful. It can be found on FPMT website. Okay, I was quick enough to save it, Valda. So thank you very much. And I already printed it out. So if you want, I can read it out. Actually, if you want, if you give me the. Can I do screen sharing?
Yes, you're co-host, so you can.
Wow, thank you so much.
Yeah.
So
I can also do it for you if you want.
Huh?
I can also do it for you if you want, but you can also.
Do you have it, or shall I go and find it?
Yes, I have it. Yes.
Okay, so maybe then I'll talk a little bit about blessings, and then maybe we recite this together at the beginning, because you might have noticed, and many of you, thank you very much. Great. So many of you have, you know, practiced for many, many years. We had last Tuesday here, we had again the Shantideva discussion group here in Bern, because now people can come again. And it was very lively because we're, you know, 6th chapter, patience and all this. And also the people who come to this discussion group, we have all taken refuge. We have great trust in the Buddhist teachings. We try to practice. You know, Shantideva gives us this very, very clear instructions, what to do in order not to get angry. And what was the discussion about? But yeah, you know, it's wonderful, it's beautiful, but it doesn't work. I still get angry. So we're all still at the point where we still get angry when something, you know, doesn't go the way we want it to go. We're not totally self-concerned only, but we get angry, you know, as the last question was saying, we get angry at these people who create all the injustice. We get angry at presidents, governments, this and that. We get angry at our neighbors when they make too much noise. We get angry at the people we work together when they don't collaborate with us. We get angry at people when kind of, we want to help them, but again, they don't really do what we're asking them to do. So it's like, it's wonderful teachings, very clear instructions from Shantideva, which we will continue also on Wednesday evenings, by the way. But I think I don't know how you find it, but I feel I still get kind of this, yeah. So when I think about the Dalai Lama, when I think about my teacher, and before doing my practices, when I visualize them, I feel my mind is getting mellow. Like I have more space, right? When I think of actual living beings that have given me these teachings, it works better and it works quicker than when I think of Shantideva, which I only have a picture of him with a red hat and kind of, debating. It's like, yeah, okay, wonderful. but when I think of Kitsencho Rinpoche or like Geshe now or the, Chado Rinpoche, all the other people, all the other realized beings that have given me teachings, then it seems easier to do also. So I don't know how it is for you, but for me, this is like again and again and again and again and again, making a direct, conscious a contact with the guru. Yeah. And then also knowing that this guru has also had a guru, and that one also had a guru, and that one also had a guru, and so on. And it all comes to Shakyamuni Buddha. So is it okay when we read it? It's not so terribly wrong, because also it has the innermost jewels in it. And then now again, if you think these teachings, no, thank you very much. I don't want to leave my family. It's too much for me. It's too advanced, because it's true, it's very advanced teachings. It's too much, so I'd rather not. Then you leave it. Then that's fine. It's no point you forcing yourself to do something, as Geshe had said. You take whatever you find useful. If at the beginning you find teachings on compassion more useful, more beneficial, then you do that. That's fine. If at the beginning you find teachings on, I don't know, emptiness or whatever, if you find that more, or self-compassion at the moment, which is like very popular and is very important also for Westerners to learn to accept ourselves the way we are, in order then to change. Yeah, but if we just push, nothing will work. Yeah, so, but if you find that these were helpful, these 4 Saturday mornings, then we can recite it together. So now you can maybe do the screen sharing again. And we don't read it in Tibetan, although they say like there's blessings in the Tibetan, but I think before we go to the blessings in Tibetan, it's always very good to know what we are reading. If you're not happy with this, if you're not happy with reading it, then that's fine. Don't read it. It doesn't matter. But don't kind of judge others who are reading it. Like, let others, if they want to read it, read it. And if you don't want to read it, you don't read it. It's no big deal. It doesn't harm to read these things. I request the direct and lineage gurus, such as the Lord of the Subduers, the kind guru, and so forth, please bless me to give up this life, just like in the biographies of the holy beings of the past. By seeing sickness, old age, and death, the unequaled son of Shuddhodana, this is the Buddha, Shuddhodana is the father of Shakyamuni Buddha, felt great sadness and gave up his reign of the kingdom. Then, at the end of 6 years of living the austere life of an ascetic on the banks of the Naranjana River, he became fully enlightened. Like that, all the holy beings of the past, by reflecting on impermanence and death, felt great sorrow, gave up this life, practiced in solitary places, and achieved enlightenment in one lifetime. In the same way, by reflecting on how the time of death is uncertain, why don't I give up the activities of this life, pleasure, reputation, and power, country, fields, house, relatives, food, and wealth, since they don't allow pure Dharma practice to arise. Except for the needs of survival, the 3 robes, a begging bowl, and so forth, I won't keep anything extra, such as gold and jewels. Not one tiny bit for my own sake. What is definite to happen to me is death. At that time, my wealth, family, and friends won't benefit me. Furthermore, there will be the extraordinary suffering of separating from them. By reflecting in this way, I will give up acquiring the things of this life. I must entrust the depths of my attitude to the Dharma. I must entrust the depths of the Dharma to the beggar. I must entrust the depths of the beggar to death. I must entrust the depths of death to the cave. I must proceed well with the uncaptured Vajra. I must leave behind the shameless Vajra. I must be accompanied by the transcendent wisdom Vajra. I must practice being expelled from the rank of humans, reaching the rank of dogs, and striving for the rank of devas. These are the 10 innermost jewels of the Kadampas. In short, impermanence and death will soon come. Now, no longer fooling myself, I will free this human life, a mere flash of lightning, from beguiling pleasures and worldly activities, and from the great ocean of suffering. In order to achieve full enlightenment, sublime great bliss, especially for all the kind mother transmigratory beings, the time has come to this very instant for me to give up the works of this life by the force of the Guru's compassion and my own virtue. May I be able to give up the works of this life right now. Okay, great. Thank you very much. So maybe we start like with short awareness meditation, because I can't repeat this often enough. Listening to teachings, studying, and even, thinking about it is really good. But if you don't have a mind, if you don't have the capacity of your mind who is able to to fish out when negative emotions arise right at the beginning, then nothing will change. Now, the negative emotions arising, it will still not change, because this is, it's karmic imprints that we create every day, every hour, every minute, by not seeing emptiness, by seeing I, the action, the other separate. And so there's nothing we can do. But what we can do with awareness is we can stop the machinery of speech and body. We see that the negative emotion has arisen, and we you put the brakes on your speech and on your body, and then again, you bring the awareness, like the watcher, or the thing that is watching what is happening, you bring it down inside to your negative emotion, and you just watch it. You don't need to, of course you can apply antidotes once you have calmed down a little bit. But if you apply antidotes too early, like, the antidote to anger is love. Well, excuse me, try to love somebody that you're angry at while you're angry at that person. Your ego will explode. It will say, are you crazy? This is a dangerous person. And you will find all the good arguments, wise arguments, right arguments, but one-sided arguments that this is a bad person, should not be loved, should be punished, should be killed, should be whatever. Okay, so, you can apply antidotes once your mind is in a neutral state. Then it will work. Then it will start to go against the negative emotion, and it will become stronger and stronger. At the moment, our negative emotions are very strong. The antidotes, love, patience, connection, consideration for others, and all this. At the moment, these are very, very weak. Yeah, so they cannot act as antidotes. But if you apply them once the You have learned to put the mind in a neutral state, meaning once you have learned not to suppress the negative emotion, but to see its nature as being impermanent. And if you don't feed it with thoughts, how bad the situation, how bad the person, how bad the government, how bad whatever it is, if you don't feed it anymore, it will die down. Same way as a fire, if you don't keep putting on wood, it will die down, and then you can apply the antidotes. This is why these wonderful thoughts of, gracious human rebirth, impermanence and death, all the Lamrim meditations, you always, when you do meditation on it, you always start by bringing the mind in a neutral state. Otherwise, it is like you have a field, it is full of weeds, it is full of stones, it's totally dry, and you have wonderful seeds of a very good crop, and you just throw it out. You think it will grow? Something might grow, but not very much. Yeah. And especially before you start to apply antidotes, it's really, really good to see your motivation. Why am I doing this? And it's only a neutral mind who, in a very honest way, can see, oops, I was thinking that the motivation was kind of, renunciation, bodhicitta, emptiness, but now I see it's actually for the happiness of now. Yeah. And I want to, before we start to do this, I want to kind of mention the third Vajra, which is so important for us Westerners, the third Vajra of bringing wisdom into this whole practice. Yeah. The wisdom of trusting our Buddha nature. The wisdom of knowing that everything is just a projection, or the wisdom of knowing the happiness of this life. Yes, it's great, it's wonderful, it's good, but it's impermanent. These kind of wisdom things that they are present, like you go like, oh, wow, so wonderful. And then, a little bit cold water into the, oh, wow, saying, yeah, okay. But it's a dependent arising. I created the causes in order to have this pleasant feeling. I don't need to get so excited about this whole thing. And I can experience a pleasant feeling now because I'm in a good state of mind. All these kinds of things. And then your excitement about beautiful things it's true, it will dampen a bit. It will not be so, wow. But then when you don't have it, you will not fall so deep of lack or depression or whatever. Yeah. Your life will take on another quality of, I don't know, openness, quietness, peace of mind, well-being, actually, softness, tenderness. This whole exaggerated of, especially now, wow, this is so great. It will become much calmer. And this can be quite frightening because then we think life is becoming boring, isn't it? So it doesn't sound so terribly attractive, peace of mind. So in order for peace of mind to be attractive, it's good to have the awareness to see when you don't have peace of mind and how much suffering is in there, and not just for you, but for everybody around you also. Yeah? Okay, so I would suggest we just do 10 minutes of like just very basic awareness. You can call it shamatha, you can call it awareness, you can call it whatever. I don't mind, I don't care. But the ability of the mind to be present. And Mingyu Rinpoche, he has a very nice little video where he sees there's a monkey, who kind of goes like, this is our mind having all these ideas and all these thoughts. And then he says, you have to give the monkey a banana so that it calms down. So then the monkey starts to munch the banana. So the banana is the object that you give your mind. And the object that you can give your mind is either the body posture, or your breath, or the body sensations, or your thoughts. The more concentrated you are, the more subtle the object can become, without the monkey mind losing it. So at the beginning, the monkey needs a big banana, yeah? Then when he gets more concentrated, you can give him a little nut. and he will kind of try to figure out the knot and all this. But at the beginning, if he's very like this, he will throw away the knot probably. Like he's not able to keep it because so excited. Yeah. So you choose your object, and that's another thing. Of course you can talk to meditation teachers. Of course you can listen to, to only guided meditations where you're being led again and again back to the object. But you have to learn to do that yourself. Otherwise, you're like a kid who wants to ride a bike and you never take off the little wheels. Yeah, so then, yeah, you can kind of pedal, but you don't know how to keep balance. Yeah, so I will not say anything because most of you, all of you that I see here, you are Dharma practitioners. So you choose your object. So don't be too arrogant thinking I can take a very subtle object like the nature of the mind. Yeah, if you can hold it, then that's fine. But if you can't hold it and you don't really know what it is, then what's the point? You know, the point is not to, wow, I'm so advanced because I have such an advanced kind of object. The point is that the object that you're holding is big enough so that you can find it easily, and when the mind slips, you can bring it back. Yeah. So that can be the body posture for 10 minutes to hold the awareness body is sitting. That's it. If you think you're not a good meditator, which many people say, it's the same way with renunciation. People say, are you practicing renunciation? Are you good meditator? Yeah. So if you have a feeling that you can't have a quiet mind in your meditation, that means your object of shamatha or awareness or whatever you call it is too big, is too subtle, is too small. This is from Tenzin Palmo, by the way, that she teaches these things. And I find it very, very helpful. Your meditation teacher might say, now kind of take as object the nature of your mind. You have no clue what it is, or you can't find it. Then better go to the breath or the body posture or the body sensations. So if you don't have an object yet, then try out these different things and then choose and then stick to it so that you make some progress. And then the joy will come because you will be able to take it into your daily life. In order to be aware, you don't have to sit down every time, that you're only aware on your cushion, and when you get up from your cushion, you're not aware anymore. You will have more joy and you will have more peace of mind, and you will have the conviction, hey, this works. And you'll get a lot of self-confidence that you can do it. Okay? So don't take away the little wheels that keep your balance too soon. Okay, so again, first thing is always to have a relaxed body. So a very quick way to do that is when you visualize or imagine to breathe with your whole body. Like the body becomes a bit bigger. I know this is fantasy, but you can imagine this. Or you do the 9-round breathing, or you can learn all these things in the meditation groups. This is not the right place to do this. I'm just giving you a few suggestions. Or you can take your breath, either the abdomen or the pressure at your nostril. Or you can do body sensations by realizing pleasant, unpleasant, neutral. Then you will be very awake. Yeah, you will be very interested also. But then don't react to them if possible. Or what you can also do to relax the body, when you breathe in, you're at a certain part of the body. When you breathe out, you imagine the body that part becoming open, soft, and very wide and very spacious. So it's very good to stay with the body for this kind of basic awareness. So we do that 10 minutes. Okay, thank you very much. So if you could do that every day, even if it's just 10 minutes, I mean, tell you, it's so helpful. It really is. There's something. Okay, and then again, now going to groups, of course, a bit difficult because you're not allowed to, but we do also the meditation groups here. So now we can meet with some people again, so we do it. Some people come, some people are still, they prefer not to come. So we do both. I do, physically present and Zoom, and it works quite well. And because of the group, you kind of learn the discipline to stay put, to sit, even if it's just on the, even if it's just on the Zoom. So I suggest also when you do just silent meditation on the Zoom, don't turn off your camera. Leave the camera on, stay sitting in front of the computer, because then you sit, because people can see what you're doing. So then we can bring in the ego that people don't want, think bad about us, to help us to keep the discipline to stay put. Or if you turn off the camera, then just ask yourself, why am I turning off the camera? What's the need? Also for those other people, if you can turn on the camera, I really like to see your faces, because when I teach, I always have the gallery view. I don't know if Geshe was told that he can have a gallery view. I'm not sure if he saw you, because I always think it's very nice when I see you all. Okay. So, as I said, also the other times, can you please explain about the first Vasha? Yes, that's just about the first Vasha. The first Vasha was to leave the family. Yeah, we'll come to that. That is, to be totally firm and not to go back. But I would like to start with something other, and I would like to start with a discussion. And since you're not very good at discussing, I'll just ask you questions. And the first one is, Geshe was saying, please, practice the Dharma. Don't just listen, but do practice. So what does it mean for you? Buddhist Dharma practice. So we have, how many do we have? We have 20 people. So, you can talk, but please maybe hold up your hand, and then I'll call out your name, as long as you all have English names. Yes, I think you do. If you want to say something, or you can write it in the chat. This is also possible. I see Roni has just joined in the name of Leora. So you're in disguise. Okay. So who would like to say, not from the books, but for you? When you go, you tell your friends, I'm going to do Dharma practice. What does it mean? What is it that you call Dharma practice? Okay, give you an example. I do this with the workshop for the children when they don't understand the question. So, the children now, I would ask, what does it mean practicing religion? Because I don't want to be so exclusively Buddhist, and then they don't understand. So I say, well, what does it mean to go and eat? Like, meaning, what will be the result of eating? Like, why do you eat? Why do you Dharma practice? What is what you expect from your Dharma practice? Tami?
Do you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, good. I think that as Geshe himself always says, that fighting the negative emotions on a daily basis, that's for me the essence of the Dharma. So try first of all to be aware of what I'm doing and how I'm doing.
Yeah.
Rami here, he can witness and say if I'm succeeding or not, but trying not to react too strongly or negatively or with anger or the like.
Exactly. This This is exactly what it is. Do we all agree, or somebody else wants to say something different? Because you see, you can say, oh, I'm going to, you know, if the whole country opens up again, you can say, I'm going to Nesamim to do a seminar on compassion, and this is Dharma practice, and you're really happy to leave your family behind so that you're free of them without any consideration that they might not be able to cope, and you call this Dharma practice, yeah? Or you're living in a, you know, young people living in a community together, like in a shared apartment, it's your turn to do the dishes, and you're all Buddhists, and you say, oh, sorry, I haven't done my practice yet, like, you know, the mantras and the sadhanas and the commitments and all this, but it's your turn to do the dishes, and you say it because of that, and you go and sit, and you look very holy, doing all your mantras and creating, you know, generating bodhicitta, meditating on emptiness, while somebody else has to do the dishes. Yeah, so be careful. So this is why, you know, whatever action you do, as it says, check your mind. This is what Lama Geshe, you know, check the state of your mind. Always, always, always. Is it leading to liberation from samsara? Is it leading to not being under the control of negative emotions anymore? You know, and this habit it's a habit that we need to develop, because we don't have it. Maybe afterwards, you know, once the once situation is finished, once we have calmed down, again, we saw, oh no, it's not. Or following the habit of this pull of attachment also, you know, because attachment is promising us something in the future. The same way, Dharma is promising something in the future. It promises us like lasting peace of mind. And not just that, being able to live our potential of unlimited love, compassion, and wisdom. Yeah, for the benefit of all sentient beings. I mean, that is the promise that the Buddha is making us peace of mind. Yeah, no suffering anymore, no creating the causes of suffering anymore. Our attachment is also making us a promise. It also promises, if you get this, then you'll be happy. But the thing is with attachment is it works quicker than the Dharma, this is true, but also the happiness or the pleasant feeling that comes from it, it's very short-lived. The moment you lose contact with the object, or your interest in the object kind of fades away because that's become boring, because it's not giving you what you want, then we need to go and find another object. Yeah. So, and we have a very strong habit of falling into the trap of our attachment, and we never question it. You know, we never question it. Is this true what you are saying? Is this going to give me lasting happiness? Because I want lasting happiness. We kind of very often we settle for the smaller things. Yeah. But settling for the smaller things is easier than saying no to attachment, because saying no to attachment hurts. It's not pleasant. You know, we need discipline. We need to make an effort. We need to be very vigilant to be able to say no. Yeah. We need the wisdom to see the long-term effects of this whole thing, which is at the moment when attachment is there, we don't see it. When attachment is there, we only see the promise of lasting happiness, which has never come true. You know, one thing is good to notice is this very strong habit that we have to make worldly things better. You know, people should have a better opinion of me so that I look good, or I'm intelligent, and la la la, and this and that. So we work on it. Or making things around us more comfortable, you know, increasing the bank account, having a better car. You know, you hardly ever, if there is no financial needs, settle for a lesser car, is it? Settle for a lesser comfortable apartment if there's no financial needs. Settle for lesser quality, whatever. Or do we do that?
Yes, I think that's what you're talking
Most
about.
of the time. Do we do that most of the time? When we practice Dharma and when we practice environment awareness. But again, why do we practice environment awareness? Do we practice it for us, for this life? Or do we practice it for liberation? Don't know, not sure. You know, this is why also what comes with Dharma practice, sorry, Tommy, I cut you short, because I know that sometimes, yes, sometimes we do settle for less because it's more intelligent to consume less because of the environment and blah, 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 blah. But in general, always, habitually, I don't think so, you know. If the settling for less doesn't have an immediate impact, then we don't. Then we go for the better, isn't it? Like we kind of naturally go for the better because we want to increase the pleasure and all these kind of things. And it all happens unconsciously. This is the problem. Yeah. So this is why the motivation and the checking, as Lama Geshe says, will this lead to enlightenment? Will this lead to liberation? Will this lead to a good rebirth in my next life? Yeah. Because you see, the only thing that we're going to take with us is our karmic imprints. And even if you do very, very good deeds, even if you save the environment and the world, even if you prevent a war, a big war, by kind of killing your enemy with a lot of anger and aversion, you might get medals, you might get an award, but you still get negative karma that you take with you in your next life. You cannot take the medal and the award to your next life. So, of course, preventing a war, if you can, by killing the enemy and all these kind of things, it seems to be a really good thing. But in terms of liberation, enlightenment, and all this, it's not. Yeah. But, you know, when we look what countries are doing, in order to prevent war, what do? We do like smaller wars to kill the enemy. And then we think that is going to create a problem. I mean, humanity has been doing this since they exist, since they kind of invented weapons. Yeah. So it seems that if we want lasting happiness, this is not the right thing to do. Now, again, I'm not saying you should not be an activist. I'm not saying that at all. But then try to see first your motivation, and second, with what kind of mind state you're going there and you're doing that. If you go to you call it manifestation? No, I think you call it demonstration. Yeah, when you go out in the street and shout and all this. This is okay, but then shout against the situation, not against the person that is creating it. Because then it will be more mellow also, right? And wishing that person who is creating that terrible situation all the best, you know, wisdom, compassion, may you find contact with your own innate, also Buddha nature that you have, and all these kinds of things. So do we trust, you know, these innermost jewels that they will bring us what we really want? So then again, the question is, what do I really want? Which you have to ask yourself again and again and again and again. It is not forbidden to want short-term happiness. Not even the Buddha said this is forbidden, but he said, if you only seek this, it will lead to suffering. Because you will never find what you really want. Because we have this inbuilt wish to have lasting happiness. We're stuck with that. There's nothing we can do against it. Yeah, we're really stuck with it. I'm just noticing I'm covering the Buddha. I am sitting in such a way, such an unfortunate way. I didn't check before. Can you see that I'm covering the wonderful Buddha statue that we have behind us? I'll sit over there next time again. So this that wasn't my attitude. I didn't want to do that. It's good if you do see the Buddha, by the way, because when we see the Buddha, it creates good imprints. That's another thing. Do we trust this, you know? And especially for Jewish people, it is so difficult to work with statues. Yeah, because when we see a Buddha statue, it wakes up it wakes up our Buddha potential, because we have an example that this is possible to do. So the big question is, do we trust the Buddhist teachings, or do we trust kind of the worldly views that we say like, oh, I have to have financial security first, and then I go into the cave, or then I go into long retreat, so I won't die because of poverty or things like that, you know. We would like to have both, isn't it? We would like to have financial security without attachment. But it's kind of not possible. And also you see this so-called financial security, we will do a kind of a reflection on this maybe later. Is it really, can we have financial security? It's another illusion that we have, you know. We behave like we amass money, and we amass much as we can, without taking into consideration at one point, it might just be a piece of paper. You know, we behave as if this has never happened. We can see in history that this has happened. The thing that we call 100 shekel, at one point, it's only a piece of paper, because it is only a piece of paper, by the way, you know. It only becomes 100 shekel when we call it 100 shekel, and when all the conditions of the economical situation is there to be 100 shekel. You know, if the outside conditions for this not to have the value of 100 shekel is not there anymore, you can call it 100 shekel as much as you want. It will not work. Yeah. So the labeling is not enough. You also need to have the kind of the conditions that this basis, a piece of paper, the basis for 100 shekel, needs to fulfill to be 100 shekel. Yeah. So these so-called financial security, it doesn't depend on us. You know, it depends on many other people who are controlling these kind of things, which I don't know who they are. And it depends on our karma also. Yeah. You see, there's this very nice story, I don't know about renunciation. I don't know about if you know, probably if you came to my courses, I've been telling it many times, so you know it, but it's still not funny to hear. So it's from Hinduism. So they also have renunciation, like in later life, because people, the men, not the women yet, but it will probably come also, because it's kind of, you know, it's the men who practice, who do spiritual practices, the women not so much. But it doesn't mean that women cannot do it. So in Hindu tradition, like you're young, you learn something, then you have a family, you provide for your children. Once they are big enough, then you leave everything behind. You leave them your house and your possessions. You put on rags. They're usually orange, you know, just kind of covering your sexual organs. And you have one bucket where you put the water so you can wash your bum when you go make caca. And people can then put the food into it that they give you in the same container. Of course, you wash it out first. And the staff. So people know you are a sadhu, okay? You have no possessions, barefoot. And this is to prepare for your next life. So to create non-attachment. So there's this very skinny, usually they're very skinny because they don't have that much food, but they meditate a lot. So they're quite happy. Also, they smoke ganja, by the way, so that can help with the renunciation for food. I'm not sure if it's really true, the renunciation. I don't want to criticize them, because some of them have amazingly high mental capacities of walking through the fire, walking on nails, going days without eating, you know, but whether it leads to liberation, this, I don't know. But anyway, so it's this sadhu going to see the Maharaja in his palace, saying, look, you know, what are you doing with all these things? Your age is such that you also should leave everything behind and go and leave everything behind and go and, you know, and prepare for your next life and leave your things to your sons or son. So they were sitting in the park. So the Maharaja says, yes, very good idea. I will do this, you know, I have to prepare for my next life. I have to detach myself from these things while I still have the capacity to detach myself and this, that. Then they smell smoke. So he looks around and he says, oh, the gods must have heard my prayers. My palace is burning. So the sadhu, you know, panicking, he jumps up and he runs towards the palace and he goes, my bundle, my bundle. So his staff and his bundle was in the palace, and the Maharaja, totally calm, let all his things burn, and this very renowned sadhu was running to save his bundle. So there you go. So, you know, we can be very renowned to things that we don't need anymore, or that are very, you know, we think we have renunciation because we don't have these very expensive things anymore. But then the cheap things that we have, or the little things that we have, it can be a lot of, there can be a lot of attachment. So we have to be, you know, we have to be really, you can have, like, you know, when we look at the teachers and at the lamas, they live quite comfortably, but it doesn't mean that they are attached to their things. Where somebody who has very little, you know, can be very attached to their things. So in general, when you see somebody, when we lock the door, when we lock the car, our motivation in general, without thinking, is so that my things are protected. But you can also lock the door and lock the car, which is the same action, by thinking so that nobody can steal it and they don't create negative karma. Now, that can be a totally fake motivation, or that can also be an honest motivation. Okay, so how can we get to trust the Buddha's teachings? Because what we had with Geshe, as Geshe says, it's very difficult, it's very advanced. Please go in steps. So how do we get to trust these teachings that it says, if you leave the rank of humans and you go to the rank of dogs, you will attain the rank of gods? Hey, come on, you know, how can we trust this? So that the trust means the trust we need in order to have enough courage to do it.
Anila,
Yeah.
I don't want to be the only participant talking,
Yeah,
but
you seem the only bright student in this class. What can we do? All the others, they don't understand anything.
yes.
Or they're too shy, or I don't know, their microphones don't work. Yeah, go ahead.
So I think that if I see success in a small scale by doing a little bit of this stuff, then I believe that there is more in the same direction.
Yeah.
So that's what I.
That's true. That's one thing. You can only develop trust if you really start to practice. If you just learn it intellectually, then they will not work. And His Holiness gives us a very good, when we come to renunciation and refuge, you know, I mean, trust means we take refuge. We entrust ourselves in the methods of the Buddha. We trust them. We trust them that they will give us lasting happiness. So His Holiness is going is explaining it also in a very good way. So it says, if you understand the two truths, if you understand that there's two levels of existence, and I'm not going to go into that because this Sunday evening Geshe is doing that, you know, what is conventional reality and what is ultimate reality. You need to have heard teachings of this and at least intellectually understand, in order to understand the Four Noble Truths. It's quite a statement, actually, because he says, if you don't understand emptiness, if you don't understand dependent arising, you do not understand that your suffering can end. You know, then we will only cut like the branches of the tree. We will never go to the root. And then it seems, as most of the world thinks in the human world, negative emotions are natural. We need them. They belong to us. It's not possible to have peace and happiness without having anger and aversion and attachment and desire and all this. This is the ordinary view. It's part of me, yeah? A sense of I, me, being separate from others. This is totally normal. This is natural. This is nature. This is it, yeah? So if you don't understand conventional level and ultimate level, you don't understand that. Well, you understand maybe that there is suffering, but you definitely don't understand the causes of suffering, and you don't understand the main cause, and therefore you don't understand that it is possible to be free from suffering. Then he said, once you have understood, at least intellectually, the two truths or the two levels of existence, once you have understood and studied the Four Noble Truths, especially the first one, dukkha, so that we get fed up with this existence again and again and again and again, being under the control of negative emotions, which again and again and again create karma, that again and again and again create situations that we dislike, and then we again and again and again and again react with negative emotions, which again and again, this whole thing. So by understanding dukkha, then we start to want to get out of samsara. So not only the gross suffering, but also the suffering of change and the suffering of this all conditioned, all pervasive suffering. Then he said, then you can take refuge, because then refuge already comes with the trust and with the renunciation. Yeah, not before. It's not you take refuge and then you start to study Four Noble Truths and all this. And by taking refuge means like, then you become a Buddhist, as Geshe says. You're only a Buddhist if you have renunciation. And there is like these very beautiful teachings from the Sakya traditions about giving up the four, what's it called? The four attachments, I think, where it says very, very clearly, if you are attached to the pleasures of this life, you're not even a Dharma practitioner, forget about it. If you are attached to, to good rebirth, I think it is, then you don't have renunciation. If you are attached to your only nirvana, then you do not have bodhicitta. And if you are attached to views, then
if you're grasping, if you're attached to this life, then you're not a spiritual person. If you're attached to your own happiness, then
you don't have bodhicitta.
You don't have no. If you're attached to this cyclic existence, the pleasure of cyclic existence, you're not. You don't have renunciation. If you're attached to your own good, good, so you don't have bodhicitta. And if you have grasping, you don't have the view.
You don't have the right view. Yeah, exactly. Views we all have, right? We all have views. This is good, this is bad, this is right. And my view is right and your view is wrong. This we all have. But you don't have the right view in order to get anywhere, actually. So it shows us clearly, where we stand. Yeah. So there again, the checking. What's my motivation? Why am I doing this? Yeah. And also, we have all these beautiful methods and beautiful helps that if we integrate them in our life, like these four, giving up the four attachments. Thank you, Shachar, by the way. Thank you very much. But we have also the Lamrim, for example. Last time you asked us to think about the question, what prevents me to live the life that I find meaningful, I think. The life that I find meaningful in Buddhist terms. Yes, I did. Did you find an answer? You had to find the answer for yourself, by the way. Yeah. But if you want, you can tell me afterwards. But let me finish with this first, please. So yeah, exactly. So you have to find out what is making a meaningful life for yourself. If the Buddha is coming and telling you this is a meaningful life, but your whole being goes against it, you cannot practice Buddhism. You have to, you have to be at least a little bit happy about the teachings. You don't need to like them. It's the same as medicine, The medicine doesn't have to be sweet for you to swallow it. You just have to swallow it. Yeah. You don't have to like the teachings, but you have to apply these methods, meaning you have to transform your mind, let your mind to go into the direction of wanting to practice them. And so when the Lamrim that Venerable Karsom is teaching also, it has this beautiful step-by-step, very clear instructions, how to do what to do. But how it begins by the 6 attitudes that we very, very, very often forget. And these 6 attitudes are the first view, I am the patient. I am sick. This is why Geshe was saying, please, please, please see your teachers as your doctors. If I understand that I am sick, I'm not criticizing the doctor too much. And I'm not saying, oh, this I take and this I do, this I don't do, if you have studied Buddhism a bit, you should be able to have trust in the Buddha, and then you just go ahead and you do it. Yeah. So the first one is, I am the patient. Because when we understand that our mind is sick, then we have interest in getting healthy. Yeah. And we need to have to trust that we can get healthy. Second one is, the Buddha is the doctor. He diagnoses this, he said, that's the cause, that will be the cure. Okay. The Dharma is the medicine that we have to swallow. We have to take it. We have to do it. Yeah, we have to train with these negative emotions, to be aware of them, to let them die down, to let the mind go into a natural state of mind, or at least to see where my attachments are. That's already a very good step. You know, don't expect them to go when you see them, but at least you recognize it. Oh, that was attachment. At least we are honest. Then your training, you know, trying to put them into practice is the cure. Yeah. And then the next two ones are like to develop trust in the Buddhist teachings. And then when you start to practice Tantra, then that all the deities that you practice, they're all the Buddha. All the Tathagatas are the Buddha. Yeah. So the first step, very often it's lacking, you know. First step very often is lacking. We don't see ourselves as the patient. So then sometimes also we're not so ready to spend money for that. For your physical health, I mean, wow, look at the amount of money that you're spending for it. Just in order to be healthy. For the mental health, well, if it's really bad, then we pay the psychiatrist or the psychologist, but you know. Problem is with this whole thing, you have to do it yourself. So the Buddha can only give you the cure, but then you have to put it into practice yourself. But once you start to develop these 6 attitudes, especially the first one, yeah, then the medicine will take place, and then we will swallow it. But because we do not realize that we are the patient, we lose interest in the 4 Noble Truths. You know, really studying them, and not just studying them when we go to the weekend, but in daily life. Which kind of suffering is that? Is it the first one? Is it the second one? Is it the third one? Yeah. And then to notice, yesterday I was sitting in a very beautiful garden. It was very peaceful. I felt very well, but for a few seconds, when you are totally aware, something creeps in, kind of very, very subtle. The all-pervasive, all-conditioned suffering that you know that this is going to end. Yeah, like the grasping, oh, this should never end. And then garden is a little bit less beautiful. Yeah. So to see, you know, this we carry with us all the time, all the time, all the time. And it's in these quiet moments, you know, and in a quiet moment where you just sit there and you're totally aware. But then what creeps in? Oh, I should do something. You know, I can't just sit here. Yeah, a bit like this. Yeah, so this is like to see which, because the, you know, suffering of pain, come on, we all understand it. And there we all recognize this is no good. But suffering of change, have we really understood this? Have we renounced the suffering of change? Don't think so. And definitely not the all-pervasive conditioned suffering. Okay, so Geshe, I was asking, why is renunciation so important? What did you get from this? Maybe somebody else then tell me. Why is it important? If you don't want to call it renunciation, to wish to get out of samsara, definite emergence, as Lama Yeshe calls it. Why is it important?
As Geshe said, this is like the stepping stone for a practice to be a Buddhist practice.
Exactly.
Without the wish to become free of samsara, then we don't actually practice in order to free ourselves from suffering.
Exactly. Exactly. If that's not there, all your other wonderful, beautiful practices don't work. It's not going to work. You know, it will be just intellectual gymnastics. I know it's very disappointing to hear that. And we're not even on a path. You know, many of you have studied the 5 paths. If you don't have renunciation, not even what's it called? Not even the Pali tradition kind of goal, self-liberating nirvana, we haven't even entered that path if we don't have renunciation. Yeah, so we definitely have to work on this by again and again and again thinking about dukkha. But because we say, yeah, I know the 3, I know the 6, I know the 8, blah blah, and all this, it's boring. Oh, I've heard this so many times. But without this, we will not develop renunciation. Yeah, this is the thing. So then this is why, you know, every Friday, which point is Karzon? I still call him Yaki. I'm sorry. Which point is Yaki on in the numbering?
It started with the chapter of refuge, or the part of refuge in the.
Perfect. Very good. So even if you haven't participated in these teachings, if you're interested in practicing these 10 Kadampa jewels, listen. Even if you can't listen, you know, at the same time as teaching, listen afterwards and listen to it again and again and again and again. What is refuge? Because refuge is renunciation. Yeah, also. So perfect. Yeah. And it's such, if you have interest in practicing these things, if you have interest in becoming Buddhist, then, you know, it's so important to know these things and then to meditate on it again and again and again and again. Then he also mentioned something which I found really interesting, and I find it in myself. Like sometimes I think, you know, I'm doing so many retreats and so many mantras and this and that and so many positive actions. Next life, I will have the perfect life to practice Dharma. So again, you know, it's being attached to have a good life, to have even better Dharma conditions, as if my Dharma conditions are not perfect already. I already looking forward for the next life to have even better conditions. And then I watch a movie. Yeah, this is me. Instead of sitting down and meditating, then I watch a movie and say, I've done so many good things. So then I can relax. I have many better conditions in next life. But again, you know, be careful. Don't do too much, as Geshe says. This is a buffet. Take whatever you can. If you're not sure what you should take or what you are, you know, putting on your plate, go and talk to somebody. That's why the teacher is so important. Yeah. And as Geshe says, he cannot give you advice if he doesn't know you. He cannot give you advice when he does not know your situation or whatever, because there's nothing that is black and white. You need to adapt it. What else did I want to say before we do the reflection? Yeah, well, again, it's especially to see our attachments. This will be the reflections. And somebody said, can you explain the first Vasha? Yeah, the first Vasha is, I think I explained it in length last time, was that I said, like, if you know, when we say leave your family, that doesn't mean you leave your small children behind. It doesn't mean that. But it means that if you don't have a family yet, then you can get off, as he did when he was very young. Before making a career and before creating a family, then you go off. And you really decide. A good thing for us maybe to see, because for you, when I look at you, because many of you are also grandparents and your children you think that your children rely on you for your grandchildren. I'm not sure if it's just imagination or if that's really the way it is, but some of you have children. And so then of course you don't leave them behind. But what is good is to work with our friends to see, why am I investing time with these friends? Am I investing time with these friends because somehow I rely on them for my happiness? Or do I not want to have a bad reputation, kind of, you're neglecting me, blah, 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 this and that? Because I was visiting, like 2 weeks ago, I was visiting where I had the restaurant. You know, I know so many people from there, and I was kind of thinking, shall I call them up? Shall I go and see them? Then I thought, no, they're not relying on me for their happiness because they're not contacting me either. So why do I have to feel guilty about not contacting them? Yeah. So when you kind of, how to say, when you cultivate friendships, try to see why. Try to see the reason behind it, you know? Because I could see in myself, I'm cultivating friendships because if I need a place to stay, I can go there. Yeah, this is what I saw. It's not the only reason, okay? But this is one of the reasons why I put energy into that one and not into that one. So I'm just telling you honestly what I see in myself. It could be that you have absolutely none of these motivations for cultivating friendships. But I think it's really good to see, yeah. It's always difficult to break up friendships because the friendships that I had where I used to have the restaurants 30 years ago, so that's easy not to call them up. Yeah, but they will be, I'm sure they will feel hurt because I didn't call them up. So what? They're not calling me up either when I'm here in Bern. So it's okay, you know. So sometimes also just to keep up these things, this is the second, I think it's the second Vajra, because we don't want the friends to have a bad opinion of us. And then we kind of comply to their worldly needs or their worldly wishes or whatever. We go along with them so that, you know, then you have to check yourself, is that really worthwhile? Is it clear, the person who asked about, can you explain about the first time, the first Vajra? Who was it? Hila. Hila, is that clear about the first Vajra? Yeah? Okay. And to always, in these three Vajras, always take the wisdom Vajra with you. Yeah? So that you're not doing too much. You're not giving up too much. Because if you're not happy, you can't practice. You know, if you're not more or less comfortable, you can't practice. So what comes in there is to practice now with your surroundings, kind of patience when things are getting a little bit uncomfortable. So if you decide at one point to go into a long retreat in a very small place or whatever, you can be there happily, you know, not to adjust your temperature, this all the time, but to really to feel, to be, I am uncomfortable, to feel it, and then to apply emptiness. Who is uncomfortable? How does it feel? Where does it sit? What does it do? Is it solid? Is it dynamic? Is it changing? To use all these things, yeah? And to also practice Shantideva's 6th chapter, you know, especially there where it says, it's in the first verses, I think we already done them, where he explains about being able to bear difficult outside conditions. We can learn that. We can really learn that, because if you look at Indian people, how patient they are, you know, much more patient than we are. Because why? Because they never had more comfort. So they got used to it, and that's it. Yeah, we can get used to everything. Verse number 14, in the 6th chapter, whatever the mind is used to, it feels comfortable. So no.
Anila, question?
Yeah.
Question, please. How to differentiate when there is sometimes we have to make a change in the surroundings, or to practice, or to bear with it?
I hope you're not expecting a very clear black and white answer. Here's the line. In general, you can, but you need to have awareness and honesty and really know yourself and your ego who is playing tricks, okay? Once you know that more or less, then you can ask, does it help my practice of renunciation, bodhicitta, and emptiness to stay there? Or does it hinder it? Because you see, sometimes we can be in such a difficult situation that we're just angry all the time. Angry, 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 angry. Then go away. You cannot practice patience there. Yeah. So this, for example, the situation, you could think, will it help me develop patience to be able to be in the situation without needing to change anything and then change something when I have calmed down? Or will it be absolutely impossible to change something? So that can be some kind of indication when you should change something. Because you see, if your house is burning, it's good to go out and not say, oh, it's getting hotter, hotter, hotter. Okay, I'm purifying my negative karma of burning in the hills, so I'll stay here. You know, that is destroying your precious human rebirth, because you don't know where you're going to be reborn. Okay, so protecting your precious human rebirth is very important, because we don't know where we're going to end up next. Does that help? with a little bit. But again, it's you who have to find out, And then also when we are impatient and we wouldn't have to change the situation and we still change it, at least we recognize it. At least we're not making excuses, At least I can see, I'm kind of investing in these friends because they have a place where I can stay at one point when I have no more place to stay. To be honest, this is it. And then when you're honest, then it becomes more pure. Because then you can change it. It's only when you see it, we cannot change it. It's only when we cook up excuses that are very clever, then nothing will transform. The moment we are honest, and don't be afraid of being honest. You don't have to be like me telling everybody how bad I am, and how many delusions that I have. But I find it quite liberating because that means, yeah, I can see it. This is the way I am. This is where I have to start, I find it very important that I see these things, but you can also get on other people's nerves when you tell them your delusions and your mistakes and all this. But also you have to learn to be able to be honest and to live with it without feeling depressed about it, without feeling discouraged, being happy that you saw it, because that's the whole practice, to see what's going on, to see what your motivation is, and then say, oh, good, I saw it, instead of going, oh, I'm so bad, and look at me, I'm so selfish, and we're all selfish. It's okay. Okay. Oof, we have 7 minutes left to do a little reflection on the 8 worldly dharmas and on attachment. Okay? We try. So try to sit with a straight back. Again, you didn't ask many questions except for Timur. You didn't answer my questions that much, but anyway, what can I do? Okay, so try to sit with a straight back. Again, to let go of all the thoughts, just to sit, to be happy that we are alive, to be joyful that we are alive, to be joyful that we have all these opportunities. Wow, we're so lucky. With this Corona, my gosh, we have contact with so many teachers, being able to receive direct teachings. Again, soon His Holiness the Dalai Lama in a few days. So amazing. Seeing these realized beings, they have such a good effect on our mind. It's so important that we keep contact with them, not with people like me, who are just, who are very deluded. But the people who are really living what they're teaching. And I can assure you, Geshe Pema Dorjee is one of them. He has such a good heart. He has so little self-concern. I mean, it's amazing. And we know them, and they know us, and they can talk to us, they can guide us. I mean, it's so amazing. It's so important that you bring the mind up before you start to think about the difficult things. So we all know the 8 worldly concerns. We run after them. We still do, whether we want or not. I mean, also these things are present in our life. Sometimes happy, sometimes sad. Sometimes we win, sometimes we lose. Sometimes people praise us, sometimes they kind of criticize us. Sometimes people like us, sometimes they dislike us. Okay. So how does it feel in these 10 jewels when it says, let go, don't worry about these things. They praise you, okay. They criticize you, okay. It's not important. So if you have, it would be good if you can find something that you worry about at the moment, which is probably a worldly concern. We're not so worried about, oh, I don't have bodhicitta. Oh, I don't know. I don't understand emptiness. That we don't worry so much, but more about worldly stuff, comfort, gain, praise, good reputation. And then the Buddha comes, or your master, your teacher comes and says, don't worry. It's not important. It does not influence your capacity of being free from suffering. your capacity of recognizing what the cause is for the suffering. These 2 words, or actually it's 3 words, do not worry. They are so powerful. And especially if somebody gives you these words that you trust. Try what effect that it has. If you are worried about something and you hear your teacher say, don't worry, it will not prevent your liberation and enlightenment. Do we have to trust in the teacher, in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha to relax and to let go of the worry? And it doesn't mean you should not react. It just means don't worry, don't be afraid. This is not the end. So try to see what kind of feelings come up. We talked about financial crisis. What kind of feelings come up when we hear, the shekel is losing its value? Like in Lebanon, the lira. Can we then trust and say, don't worry, it will not be the end. It will be difficult, yes, but it will not prevent my liberation and enlightenment. Other people cope with this situation. Why should I not be able to cope? It will be less comfortable, yes. Can we let go of the worry, of the fear? These are moments of small liberation that we can have already now. Open heart, peace of mind. When we let go of these kind of things that can or could happen in the future. Don't worry, it will not be the end. So when we go to the first Vajra again, to be concerned about our families, children's, grandchildren's happiness, well-being, comfort. That is okay. That is fine. There again, also we invest a lot of time, a lot of money to make their things better. And then also for them, we start to check, will it help them to have more peace of mind, lasting peace of mind? To be independent. And also to see, I'm doing these investments because of attachment, because other beings might need my skills of being able to help more than my family and my friends. Why am I investing in friends and in family? Just a question, I'm not saying you shouldn't do that. Just a question. Sometimes we take too much responsibility, that we have this arrogance of thinking we have to sort out everybody's problems. You see that question at the end of Geshe-la's talk about what do you do with governments and things like this. Well, excuse me, if the Buddha didn't know what to do with them, if the Dalai Lama doesn't know what to do with them, if they would know what to do, but they can't do it because it depends on karma, what can I do about these things? These endless discussions, these endless political discussions. And as I answered, and I think it's important, we can start with our own disarmament, getting angry at the neighbor, being attached to certain things. Because if attachment doesn't get what it wants, it gets angry. This is how it works. Okay, so we can just end the reflection by thinking, you know, these 6 attitudes. I do recognize that I am under the control of my negative emotions. They're not me, but I have them. This is Gustav Jung who said that. I need to take care of them. The Buddha Dharma is a big, 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 big buffet. May I be able not to bite out too many chunks or too big chunks out of greed or even attachment to Dharma practice. May I be able to see wisely what I need to apply right now in order to free myself from the wrong view of grasping to a self-existent self, from the wrong view that I'm the center of the universe and separate from others, and especially from the wrong view that I cannot attain liberation and enlightenment. I'll be able to develop that trust, the trust in my goodness and in my wisdom. To let behind me, to renounce the things that only create more suffering, to be able to take up the methods, the things that lead to liberation and enlightenment for all beings, not just for me, my friends, and my family. May I be able to receive the blessings of the Buddhas and my masters. Okay, so be careful when you practice these things, but be courageous. I think there's also these 4 things where it says, anyway, I'll tell them on Wednesday. I have to look them up. You know, memory is kind of going. Something is like caution without discouragement, or courage without stupidity also. Determination without attachment, that you don't need to have the result right now. So you see, it's like you the middle way, kind of. Be courageous, but not stupid, okay? Like don't, as Geshe says, don't throw everything away and then go off to a cave if you're not able to bear to be in a cave, and if you don't have the practices. And the Buddha himself, you know, he had to see these 4 messengers before he left his home. He saw the messenger of sickness, old age, and death. And then he saw a sadhu. Then he saw a wise man who had left this behind and was kind of aiming for liberation. It didn't come just like this. He had to understand dukkha, that you cannot kind of make it go away with money or just worldly intelligence. Okay. So thank you very much. I had a lot of pleasure in these 4 Saturday mornings, especially listening to Geshe. So please, Shachar, can you ask him again to maybe come and teach us at one point?
I will, of course, I will.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, that would be wonderful, because I really, I love to listen to it. And,
Yeah.
and I feel it has a very good effect also on me, you know. So this is important. Not every teacher, no matter how wise they are, has the same effect on you. So you have to find out, you know, which one makes you going, which one inspires you. It doesn't have to be the highest.
Thank you.
You know, it's really important that it is somebody that inspires you, somebody that makes you practice. Okay.
I will, of course, I will.
Okay. So thank you very much. And
Thank you.
maybe
Thank
see
you.
see you Wednesday. So from now on we do Wednesdays again. It's all going in the same direction anyway. So, and if you have questions, you can ask them. Okay.
Bye bye. Thank you.
Enjoy the weekend and bye bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Very welcome.